Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. This is the vault, episode 609. What you passing down? And this is one of those episodes that we're really thankful for everybody that tunes in live, listens to the replay, people that reached out over the past week since the workshop has ended and getting going in trustee training. So it's always a beautiful thing. But this particular episode is back to the basics, what you passing down. And we really wanted to do this episode because we do our best to highlight at the vault to the families that reach out and to our continuous listeners what you passing down. And a lot of times, a lot of people think that they're passing down money, but what happens is a lot of people end up passing down debt. They they end up passing down liabilities. We got families that have gone through the program for years, and someone in their family has ended up not inheriting wealth, but inheriting a liability. So what you passing down is to go over, did you put the assets in the correct position? They people make this sound so challenging to put the assets in the correct position. It's like if the vote didn't do the podcast, we could just start a title company. All you got to do is title the property properly. Is there clear title on the property? But most people in the public, 80% of the population, how you going to pass along a liability? A mortgage. I'm trying to put my house in a trust. You're trying to pass along a liability. Do you have any other assets? Gold, silver, precious metals, any type of family heirlooms? What you passing down? We got families that it's interesting to see the sense of urgency and not see the sense of urgency. Like people will have children and will literally have a bunch of a debt in their name, a bunch of liabilities in their name, and they're just gonna pass along that to their children. And it's like disappointing to see. But these people will come to the vault and they'll say, "Oh man, I need to get my stuff together, man. I know I need to do it. It's about time, you know. I really need to get going." How you need to get going? When you get going, what you gonna pass down? What are you passing down? Are you passing down, "Oh honey, you know, we got a business. Does the business even have key man insurance on you as the main operator if you're the sole operator of the business?" You know how many families we know that they're the sole operator of the business and they didn't put key man insurance on their family yet? These are small things. What you passing along a business for, that as soon as you pass it along to the child doesn't want to partake in the business. They just want the profits. That's the harsh reality. They don't want the money. They don't want the business. They want the money. They don't want the hardship. They don't want the sacrifices that you made as a parent. So what you passing down? You passing it down. Oh man, I got employees that don't really like the child anyways because I thought they were some little brat. They were a spoiled brat. They might come in here and try to fire us all. So they get scared. Might not work hard. What you passing down? Are you passing down knowledge? Are you passing down legacy? What you passing down? A legacy? A legacy of what? A legacy of coming up short? You know what I mean? Families got to break a family curse that's coming up short. They got to break a family legacy of not getting the job done. They got to break a family legacy of not finishing what they started. What you passing down? A legacy of not finishing the job or showing the family that, you know what, if you put your mind to something and you stay dedicated to it and you make the proper sacrifices, you can get it. What you passing down? You passing down, you trying to pass down money, you trying to pass down assets, or are you passing down liabilities? Are you passing down values? Values of hard work, values of dedication, values of putting your mind to something, values of having single minded focus. What you passing down? You passing down not keeping your word? That's a big one. What you passing down? Are you passing down that we get the job done no matter what? Do we really hear that? Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to go ahead and tell y'all there's this thing called the 80-20 rule. You can Google it. The 80-20 rule says that 80% of everything in life, for the most part, is done by the top 20%. And the top 20% produces 80% of the results. That's all it is, ladies and gentlemen. We could tell y'all, people, they just are where they are. It's interesting to see. When we sit in a room with some of the elite families, higher net worth families, legacy is what's talked about. You don't even see them talking about all the time, oh, I want my children to be the successor or run the business. Why? A lot of them have trained their family to not work hard, to not want to struggle the way they struggle. They say, oh, I don't want my family to go through what I had to go through to get the money and build the business. So what you passing down? You passing down diligence and work ethic, or are you passing down the love of ease? Take the easy route out. Go work for someone else. Just accept the dividend from the family estate, the distribution from the family estate. What's the standards that you're passing down? This is a tough question because if you didn't come from a high standard, now you got to enforce a new standard. So what you're passing down is a new standard. We got to live up to our words. Got to live up to the words. What you passing down, you keeping your word to yourself first? What you passing down, you keeping your word to others? Or is it easy just to tell somebody, oh man, I'm going to be there, but don't show up? Is it easy to just say, oh man, I'm not going to be there on time? What you passing down? Being on time? Such a small thing, but it's a big thing. What you passing down? Overachieving? Some people don't want to hear that. There is such thing as overachieving. Some people think, oh, if I just achieve something. But what happened? Are you passing down overachieving? It's interesting, we sat around some elites recently, and without a doubt, most of the men said that their father was their hero. And interestingly enough, there were times from the previous generation that their father didn't have more money. So this is a wake-up call for some people right here that's listening to the episode. Once again, the previous generation didn't have more money. But somehow the younger men sitting in the room said that their father was their hero. Their father was their hero? How's your father your hero? And these are over 30-year-old men. These are over 40-year-old men. These are men that have children. And they said their father was their hero, even though their father wasn't more financially well off than they were in that particular generation. So let's just say Gen 0 was the father, Gen 1 is them. And we're sitting here seeing Gen 1 say, my father is my hero. And we sat there and we wondered, and we would ask too as well, so what made your father your hero? And none of them said my father was my hero because he gave me money. None of them said my father was my hero because he gave me everything I wanted. All of them, for the most part, resoundingly said my father passed along values of hard work, dedication, put my mind and seeing things through, keeping my word to myself as a man. These are some of the things that we heard. Being a gentleman, being an outstanding man. You heard hard work come up a lot. So what you passing down? You think, oh, I got to pass along some money to my kids. But when we sat in a room with some elite gentlemen recently, they said that they didn't receive money from their family. But they received something else. These are elite gentlemen. These are gentlemen that make over 7 figures. Possibly 8 at times. What you passing down? You passing down those values that we just talked about? Or people passing down, I got to give my family a house. We see families right now fighting over houses. What you passing down? You going to pass down a house to your children. Think about this. You got multiple kids, right? So here we go. You got multiple children. How are you passing down the asset properly if you divide the house among your children? That does not sound intelligent, but it sounds intelligent to people that aren't aware. We got families right now. We got families that have always gone through the program. They got children, but the children that y'all think are children, they're not children like 5 and 6-year-old, 7-year-old, less than 18. They're adults. They got a whole family that's the beneficiary. You got 2, 3, 4, 5 brothers and sisters. They all hold beneficiary positions in the asset. But did you think about the fact that they might not like each other as they get older? Did you think about the fact that some of them go through family situations? Some of them might go through a divorce. They might say, man, I need some money. I need to liquidate this asset. I need to liquidate my shares, but I'm not trying to cash out because then y'all will be in control of the family house. These are the conversations that we have. You got family members fighting over assets. The property might be paid off. They're fighting over the asset. You would think your children are not going to fight over the asset. Wrong. They fighting over the asset. They fighting over the liability. You got family members. What you passing down? Are you passing down when you pass away that your children, you didn't give them an insurance policy to at least properly bury you? Did you pass down a policy so your children could properly bury you, so you don't have to get cremated, so they don't have to burn your dirt, burn your body up? Now, some people request it. So they talk about, oh, the life insurance. What you passing down? You passing down the life insurance, trust Christian in the vote. You know, when they pass away, we're going to get $1 million. Did you title that properly? What you passing down? Did you pass along the asset properly? Once again, it's about the title of the property. What you passing down, the title of the property. You got family members fighting over assets. So what you passing down? You going to pass down an asset that family members are going to be fighting over? Some families get despondent over that. Some families get torn apart because of that. We see it all the time. What are you passing down? A network? Are you passing down the network that you build? They say, oh, your network is your network. Your network is your net worth. Okay. Did you build a network for your children to walk into? What you passing down? Did you pass down a network for your children to walk into that room and they're recognized based off their last name? They're recognized off of the previous generation's work. They're recognized off the previous generation's legacy. Interesting. Did you pass down a good reputation? Think about how many people in your previous generations didn't even pass down a proper reputation, didn't pass down a proper legacy to you. What you passing down? You gonna pass down a reputation now? You gonna break that curse and you gonna pass down a reputation, a legacy? People with children, it should be a fire sale to make sure that the assets are in their proper position. But this all comes from having a public school education. Why? Or you think about it, it comes from having a public school education because your family was supposed to educate you on making sure that you pass along assets properly. But instead, people went to public school, so they don't know. They don't know. But some of the families that understand properly, they educate their children privately. So this comes down to public and private. What you pass down? You pass down a private education or a public education? You pass down a public school education just where they give them the ABCs, the one, two, threes, or did you pass down those private dinner conversations? You passing that down? Passing down those private conversations that you had when you go on trips together? Not really. Most gonna leave their family in shambles. 80%. They gonna pass down liabilities. They gonna pass down some debt. How do you break these generational curses? It's interesting. You gotta end up making one decision. You gotta invest in your private education. First of all, why would someone else have to invest in your private education for you? Trust Christian Involved, we tell you this all the time. And people say, oh man, how long am I going to have to invest in my private education, Trust Christian Involved? How long am I going to have to invest in my private education? How much is it going to cost me to invest in my private education? Well, are we talking wealth or are we talking peanuts? Man, they got a conference for this, a conference for that. It's always a conference, Trust Christian. How much these conferences cost? I got to go to these conferences, these private wealth conferences. How much these conferences cost? They cost more than $1,500 to $2,000. They over there, they trying to hold a conference down in the Cayman Islands. I got to go to the Cayman Islands. I got to take time off from my job. I got to take time away from my business. See, the biggest sacrifice is the first gen. The biggest sacrifice. Oh man, I gotta pass along some valuable information, huh? I gotta go into these private rooms. I gotta create these private relationships. That's what we had to do. That's what every other family that's in the elite and in the private sector had to do. We had to invest in private relationships. That's what you passing along? It's private relationships. Relationships where you sit in a room where people say, we don't lose money. Where every year you come back and you hear they almost doubled their assets under management, or they increased the assets under management above market pace. So while in the public, oh man, I got to get stock market returns. As long as I can get stock market returns, I'm good. But then when you come in the private sector and we talking 30% annual increase and annual IRR, oh no, wow, that's unrealistic. How could you promise those returns, Trust Christian? How could y'all promise 17% annual growth rate? When in the public, they over here talking about you getting a few cents on the dollar for your money market, maybe no more than 6%, no more than 9%. How's that happening? So you don't want to invest in the private education so you could get those 17% plus returns, those 20% plus returns, those 30% plus returns, and their tax write-offs? What you passing down the knowledge that your kids got to go to school to get some so-called degree so they can be in debt? If the education was so valuable, they wouldn't be giving people a discount talking about they need a daggone debt forgiveness loan. Some daggone forgiveness. What they forgiving you for? It's supposed to be valuable, right? But they trying to forgive these people. Do y'all hear how valuable that is? You hear how the public education is? Oh, we got to give a debt forgiveness program for the public education. They not giving out no debt forgiveness for the private education. That's a fact. What you passing along? You passing along your children to get an asset-based education, or you passing along to your children to get a debt education? Hey son, hey daughter, go out get a debt for a loan for a car. Go out get a debt for a loan for a house. Go out get a debt for this, or you passing along. Hey, you know what? Anything you ever want, all you gotta do is figure out how to go get a business, how to start something, create something, and create income from it. Instead of being a slave to somebody else, saying, "Oh man, I gotta wait for somebody else to cut me 2 weeks in a paycheck." That's the mentality you pass down. What mentality you passing down to your children, to your great grandchildren? Are you passing down a I can do it attitude, a you can do it mentality? Nah, most people not. So we don't feel bad. We just want to put you on notice that poorness is like a disease, it rubs off. That's a fact. What you passing down? These generational curses? How you break these generational curses? You got to stand up, you got to write this information down on a piece of paper, and you got to put it on the wall, and we got to live it every day. Our family has to live it when we walk out that door. It's too hard, Trust Christian. Once we put the standards up, we got to live to the standard, and a lot of people not living to the standard, Trust Christian in the vault. What you mean? They not living to the standard. I'm gonna be the oddball out. That's why people ain't investing in the private education. Because you're gonna become more odd. We got families that come into the vault. They'll say, "Man, a lot of people, man, I started losing relationships because I couldn't talk to people. How do we find people that know what to do?" Well, you got to invest in your private education so you can invest in those private relationships. So you can have people that say, "We don't lose money. We grow it at a 15% annual increase. We grow it over a 20% annual increase every single year." That don't even sound realistic out here to people. "Oh man, you almost doubling the money." That's what's going on out here. We've been doing the podcast for years now. People wonder like, "Oh man, I wish the views would go up so we could really see the channel blow up." Well, we in the right position because we in the right association. And when you in the right association, you have a fighting chance. That private network is almost unmatched. You're not just gonna pass along money. You're gonna pass along a network. You're gonna pass along valuable values, a standard. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listen, replay. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Always appreciate you. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. We look forward to hearing from you all. We actually have planned out the next workshop. It's going to be in Chicago. We pretty much have it identified that it's going to be on October 26th. So we do have that date identified. We actually are getting a flyer created. We will have that flyer posted here in the next few days. But we've already locked it in. We had another family. Once again, families. What you passing down? You passing down that your family has to work together, or you passing down we can walk around like marching and praying ants? Are we gonna work together, or are we gonna go ahead and be separate and be a house divided? So, Trust Christian Revolt, we see families that want to step up and work together. So we got families in Chicago, not surprising, but got some families in Chicago uh, in October that want to work together. So we're thankful for that. We're going to be making sure that that workshop is proper. It's going to be in the Midwest region for some of the families that weren't able to make it. Doing our best to really get this notice out to families as soon as possible. Christian at trustchristian.com if you want the details about the Chicago workshop. Look forward to hearing from you all. Christian at trustchristian.com. Peace and joy.